comedians. I watch a lot of comedians, and not just their stand-up, but their commentary, because they're very, very fascinating individuals. They have a fascinating mind. They have a see into the hairline cracks way of looking at the life and the world around us and other people, and I really enjoy that. I think that's very beneficial to a society. And the reason that they're always edgy and pushing the limits is because they see that even them, if you listen to their podcasts, if you listen to some of these famous comedians, they're all warning society in the best way they can. And a lot of times it's like they're veiling these warnings because they are under this oppressive ethos, this do's and don'ts, say, can't say, we will ruin you. And I'm going to get to the more details of that. But they're all alluding, hey, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem. And even the more liberal leaning of the comedians are like, this is a problem and it's coming from the left. Using the veil and the intentionality of virtue and kindness. And instead, it implements itself with the tools of viciousness and anger, victimhood, bitterness, just all the worst parts of humanity. So we're told we can make fun of certain people. We can't make fun of other people. One is described as bullying. One is described as virtue. Now that in and of itself, that piecemeal morality is just very troubling, right? Should send antennas flying in the air. Also, can speak about certain groups of people with venom and vitriol. Can only speak of other groups of people with condescension and patronizing tones. Very, very telling. It's in our creativity now. It's in what kind of films you can make, what kind of jokes you can tell, what kind of music, what kind of ideas you can have and not have, what kind of solutions you can entertain and can't entertain. Very, very troubling to a society, to a free society. Arsenic, poison, toxic to a free society. I have a very radical, incompetent, and far, far left governor. And he put a guy who dresses up like a woman in charge of the entire state's medical decisions. You know, the face of my state's medical communication and medical funding, etc. Here's what I'm saying. This person put into practice this ethos, this moral code that I'm talking about, and how this lays before us is when you walk into a patient's room, if you're a medical practitioner, you cannot ask said patient, you cannot allude, you cannot assert the gender of the individual. So you walk into a room, it's a 400-pound man with a beard coming down to his belly button. He's got hair pouring out of his nostrils. He's got hair pouring out of his ear holes. There's the Amazon forest growing down by his junk, and you can't make the assumption that this individual is a man. Why? Because of this ominous ethos I'm talking about. Because of this new moral code that won't be defined. You know, nobody shows their face. Nobody even really takes credit for it. It's just out there and enforced by like the bourgeoisie and the do's and don'ts. And you just sort of know it like you know gravity, right? You just know it's there. Can't say this even though it's true. Can't say that. Can't ask this 400-pound hairy slob if he's a dude. Now here's the reason I'm giving you this anecdote is here's where this plays out. So now a medical practitioner will draw blood from sumo wrestler Chewbacca that I'm describing. And can't make the assumption on the vial of blood that this is a man. Can't check the mailbox. Now you send that down to the lab, and the lab doesn't care about this insane leftist Orwellian ethos thing that I'm talking about that lords over us. The lab doesn't care about that at all. The lab cares about hard biological facts. So all this confusion ensues with the blood and the lab, and people get medications that they shouldn't get, they get diagnoses that they shouldn't get. All hell breaks loose because just like gravity, reality does demand to be respected. Now it doesn't in the ethos of leftism, where you alter reality to fit your desires. Blood, biology, the human anatomy, science doesn't care about that crap at all. Doesn't care that the main medical practitioner in this state likes to wear his grandmother's undergarments and poorly apply makeup to his face. The lab doesn't care about any of that. The lab doesn't care about whether you're going to get called names if you call a spade where this is concerned. Blood, lab, doesn't care about any of that. And that example I just gave you, that story, can be recreated in a million different ways, in a million different facets of society and life. This ethos, this new morality, this faceless, nameless, oppressive thing that we all live under, that was birthed, that was given life to like a Frankenstein from the leftist slabs of lunacy. The reality of the world that we live in, how things go. Circling squares don't work in that reality. It doesn't matter how many names the left calls people. It doesn't matter how many reputations they ruin, or careers they end, or comedians that they send into the oblivion for wrong speak or wrong talk. None of that matters in this real world we live in. That can be applied to the social sciences, that can be applied to society, that can be applied to entertainment, that can be applied to so many things. So I'll give you a different example, which is a little bit more a point of levity. How about just comedy? Comedy is comedy, right? It's funny or it's not funny. It's funny or it's not funny. It's visceral to some extent. The left has decided that rule, that human, universal, multicultural rule, we don't like it. Picks winners and losers or whatever insanity is ensuing in their mind. They don't like it. They seek to change it, to alter it. They won't alter it, just like they won't alter the blood lab. What they do is they break it, they smother it, or they destroy it. So what happens is there's less joy, there's less laughter, less connection between human beings. That's true of all of our art. The bastardization, the perversion of leftism in art and how they've destroyed it. That is true of so many things. The reason for it, the very hard to define thing I'm trying to get at, is just this whole cultural rain cloud, or this whole, it's in the air, we have to obey it. We don't even know exactly the forces at play, at least in their entirety, that even enforce it. We just know that there are consequences. It's very much like in Stalin's government. There were just people listening around every corner. You didn't even know if they were your friends, your neighbors. Stalin's Russia had this whole network of people that would just turn you in or rat you out or make up lies about you. Heck, if you didn't like your neighbor's color window shades, you could just make up some nonsense about him, and in the middle of the night the boot thugs come in and just drag him away. The left create this, and they create this as a way of turning 2 + 2 into 7, into creating an alternative world that they prefer to live in rather than dealing with this world. It's very ideologically based in the sense that they're always chasing utopic visions, they're always chasing things that are untethered from reality. But the point here is not to sell you on my politics. The point here is to get you very, very suspect of this thing I'm talking about. Because if this continues, if we can't defeat this, this could be an extinction event for the way we live our lives. Joy, film, laughter, society, men and women, relations, procreation, science, anything we dream about, anything we want to create. If the left has their way, they're just going to have these people telling you what is acceptable, what isn't acceptable. It's just unsustainable. And believe it or not, even you, the most leftist of viewer of this video, you do not want that future. You do not want that future. That is French revolutionary in its outcome. Everybody's head gets cut off. everybody, including Pierre, everybody's head gets cut off if we don't stand up right now and fight that. And look, if for a moment or for a second this suits your political aim, so you think because of that you're going to tolerate it, or because some guy you don't know or don't like, maybe more importantly, just got caught up in its wake, you're like cheering on, yeah, stick it to him, got it. You're next. Or the comedian you like is next, or the movie you like is next, or the artist you like is next, or the field you like is next, or the thing you're studying that you hope to dream about contributing to or having a future in is next. This is very important. And we all have to find common ground here, or we're all going down.